Good morning, dear students. A very hearty welcome to my channel. In today's class, we are going to discuss two programs using two different variants of for loop. One of the programs will be based on the for variable in range variant of for loop, and the second one will be based on for item in collection. So let's move on to our class. So we can see there are two programs here. The first program says write a program to find the sum of 1 plus, it's actually like this, 1 plus 1 by 8 plus 1 by 27 up to 1 by n cube, where n is the number input by the user. So in this type of a question, this is, as we can see, it is a series question. So here we will be implementing this using the for range loop. And the second question is write a program to accept a list of strings and print the string with maximum length. So this will be involving for item in collection. So let's start with the first question. So question number 1 says we have a series which is like this. And we have to find the sum of this series. So as you can see that it is generally asking for a number of terms. So we will first figure out what is going to be the input. So input, as you can see, it is n, which is the number of terms. What will be the processing? So we will be first figuring out what is the pattern of generation of terms, and the output would be the sum of the series. Now let us first figure out its logic. As you can see that the first term is 1, so I can easily write it as 1 divided by 1, which can be written as 1 cube, because 1 cube is equal to 1. And 1 upon 8, this can be written as 2 cube. By looking at these numbers itself, it is quite understandable. Then you have 27, which is the cube of 3. Then you have 64, which is the cube of 4, and so on up to n. So you can see that we are getting some counting numbers, some natural numbers which are being incremented by a factor of 1. That is 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on up to n. So we can use I, that is the loop control variable, for handling these values. Right? And we can easily use, so this is the pattern which we have figured out. Now using this pattern, we are going to write how we will calculate the sum. So for that, we will again take a variable sum and assign it the value 0. Now what we are going to do is we will simply write, you can see that it is 1 is in the numerator is common. So we can keep s equals s plus 1, which is already there, divided by the cube of I. Whatever is I, its cube. So I raised to the power 3, and there is no need to, there is only plus sign in between, so we don't have to worry about the sign also. So this is it. So our logic is also developed here. So now let's start with the flowchart first, or with the pseudocode. So we start with the pseudocode first of all. Start. Second is we read number of terms, which is n. Third is we are going to first initialize I as 1. We will set S as 0, which will represent sum of series. We'll write 5 as if I is less than equal to n, then go to step 6. Otherwise, go to step X. So we will go to step X otherwise, right? So we don't know what is X so far. So we are only going to concentrate on step 6 for the time being. So step 6 will be S equals, or we'll write here compute S equals S plus 1 divided by I raised to the power, or we can simply write I multiplied by I multiplied by I. We can simply write this, or we can even write it in the form of Python raised to the power 3, which is our sum of the series. Then update expression, that is I equals I plus 1. Then 8th expression will be going back to step 5. And 9th step would be display sum of series as S and come out of it, that is the 10th step, which will be stop. So you can see over here, we can easily figure out that step X is step 9, because in 9, once the loop terminates, we have to display the sum of the series. Okay, let's do a dry run of it and just check our logic for its authenticity. So we have start, then read a number of terms n. So let's take n as, we'll take it as 5. Initialize I by 1. So I is equal to 1 and S is equal to 0, which is the sum of the series. If I is less than equal to n, we can see I is 1 and n is 5. So I1 is less than equal to 5. Yes. Go to step 6. Compute the sum, which will be equal to 0 plus 1 divided by 1 cube, which is equal to 1. So sum will be what? Equal to 1. Update I, it becomes 2 now. Now go to step 5 again. Is 2 less than equal to 5? Answer is yes. So again go to step 6. Compute sum. So now what was sum earlier? It was 1. So it will be 1 plus 1 divided by 2 cube, which will be equal to 9 by 8. So we'll just keep it like that for the time being. So whatever is 9 by 8, that will be calculated, which will be equal to 1.125. So we get some answer over here. Okay. Then next will be again here it will be I equals I plus 1, which will be 3. Again go to step 5. Is 3 less than equal to 5? Answer is yes. Again go to step 6. Calculate sum, which will now be 1.125 plus 1 upon 3 cube, that is 27. So this will also again give us some answer, which the system will calculate. We won't. Okay, again next time it will change to 4. We go back. 4 is less than equal to 5. Yes, again compute S, which will be this value plus 1 by 4 cube, which is 64. We again get some value over here. Then again increment the value. It becomes 5. Uh, Execute these steps and it becomes 6. Go back to step 5. Now the condition becomes false. So now go to step 9 and display the sum of the series. Okay. Let's draw a flowchart and see for ourselves. So start, We will write here how many terms. That is n terms. Then we will initialize I as 1 and s as 0. Then we will start with our loop. So we'll check the condition if I is less than equal to n. So here we are, and if I is less than equal to n, then we will be proceeding with the two statements where s is equal to s plus 1 divided by I raised to the power 3 and I equals I plus 1, which is the update expression. And the control goes back. So this is in case the condition is true, and when the condition becomes false, then only the output will be displayed. So we will just display the sum of the series. That is S and stop. So this is our flowchart. So now based on this flowchart, we are going to write the program. So what we will do is we will first copy this pseudocode. So let us first paste the pseudocode and hide it under a block comment. Now we'll start. So read the number of terms. So we will write n equals int input how many terms. Then initialize I equals 1 and sum also equals 0. So I can simply use a multiple assignment, I as 1 and s as 0. So you can see that 4 lines of pseudocode are merged into 2 lines of Python. So in the fifth statement, you can see the condition, that is if I is less than n, then go to step 6, which clearly says that this is our for loop. So we have to write it like this: for I in range, our start value will be 1, comma, the stop value is going to be n. So we will take n plus 1 because we know that the range function always takes 1 less than the stop value, and the skip value is by default 1. So we can eliminate this statement from here, that is I equals 1. Why? Because it is already specified in the for loop, as we had seen while we were studying the for loop. So after this we will write s plus equal to 1 divided by I raised to the power 3, and we don't even need the update expression. Why? Because that is also provided by the skip value over here. So we'll just come out of the loop and print sum of the series, which is equal to s. Save it and now run it. How many terms? 5. So you can see the sum of the series is this. You can also take 10 terms and you can see the sum of the series. And we can also take 3 terms and we can see sum of the series. So we will just check it with our dry run. For 2 terms, which is 1.125, and so our answer is correct. So our program is correct. So you can see a long pseudocode gets merged into 3 or 4 statements, which is quite an efficient way of programming in Python. Our next program is write a program to accept a list of strings and print the string with maximum length. So let's first discuss this question. So here in this question, first of all, we have to accept a list of strings. In order to accept any data which is not a collection, it is very easy. We simply use the statement, that is input, and we convert it into any specific format like int or float and assign it to the variable. But now we have a list of strings. That is somewhat, it would be like this. For example, where we can see this is a list data structure consisting of individual elements, and each element is a string. So when each element is a string, now this is a list data structure which we will be asking from the user. So there are two ways of doing this. Either we ask for the whole list in one statement, or we ask for individual values and add them to the list. So the latter option, we will be discussing that when we study the chapter lists. Whereas here we will be concentrating mainly on accepting a list as one statement. So we will simply write here, we'll take a list named colors, and we will simply use the eval function and read the values from the user. Enter a list of colors. So we will just do it this way. So what will happen when input is to be taken? It has to be provided in the form of a list. So you have to enclose this list of items within the square brackets. Okay, in this form, and then only it will get assigned to colors. Right. So let us first write the pseudocode. Start. First of all, read a list of strings and name it as list underscore str. So we have just named the string as list underscore str. We are not taking the colors list because that would mean that we have to enter only colors. So not by rule but by tradition. So here now next is we have to use the variant of the for loop which is used for extracting items from the collection. So we will write, now the question was we have to find the string which is the largest string, the one with the largest length. So let us first take max length as a variable, set max length as 0, which will store the maximum length, and also set largest string, largest str as none. So I have taken largest str to be none. Now we are going to access one item each from the list. So we will start with if there are items in the list. Go to step 6, otherwise go to step X. So we will first go to step 6, access the item, the first or next item, because for the first time when the loop executes, the first item will be accessed, and the next time when the loop executes, the next item will be accessed, and so on. So access the item from the list and now store its length. We have to check its length. So we will write if max length, or we will simply write it like this, if len item, now access the item and store it within item. So if len item is greater than max len, which was 0 initially, then assign max length equals len item. Assign the, if the length of the item is greater than the max item value, so assign the we are using the logic for finding out the largest number in a list, so we are using that only. And also and also we have to store item, so largest str equals item. So whichever item has been in consideration right now, whichever item has been accessed, that item has to be also saved. So that is the item with the largest length. Now after this, we will be again going back to step 5, and ninth one will be display list item with largest length. And here in this case it would be largest str, and you can also display the length if you want. Okay, so we know which step we have to go, so we will be writing step 9 over here, and finally step 10, which is stop. So you can see very easily that we have written a pseudocode over here, and we will be doing the dry run after executing the program. So now we are not going to draw a flowchart for this, so we'll quickly just copy this and going back to our Python shell and pasting it there. So I'm just going to save it with the name largest list item .py. So I'm going to save the pseudocode, and you will see eventually how the actual program is much smaller than the pseudocode. So start, then step 2, read a list of strings. So we will write list str equals eval input, enter a list of strings. So we will accept a list of strings, then set max length as 0. So I will write max length equals 0 and largest str equals none. You can also omit this largest str, which I will tell you in the next in a short while. For item, now if there are items in the list, go to step 6, that is accept the first or next item. So this would be for item in list string. So fifth and sixth statement as well as eighth statement will be already shrunk into this statement. So we will check if len item is greater than max length. So if len item, and for this we are writing len item, that is length of item, if it is greater than max length, then assign max length equals len item, and also save the string with the largest length, so that will be equal to item. And finally we come out and we print the largest string in the list is largest str with length equals to max length. Okay, so you can see we can simply write this, and here also I can remove this largest string. I can directly assign value over here. So let's do the dry run and see. So list of strings equals eval, enter a list of strings. So suppose the user enters list str as so you can see here there is a list of strings entered. Set max length as 0. So I'll take max length as 0. Now for item in list str, so it will first extract the item as yellow. Then check the condition if len item is greater than max length. So what is the length of this item? As we can see, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is it greater than max length? Yes. So set max length as this length and set largest string as yellow. Then again go back to the loop. Next item is going to be magnolia and its length is 8. So now we will just compare if is this length greater than max length. What is max length? It is 6. So is 8 greater than 6? Answer is yes. So we will write 8 over here and largest string will be magnolia. Again go back. Check the next one. So these two are already done. Check the next one, camellia. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Its length is 7. So is 7 less than max length? Answer is, if is length greater than max length? No. Because this length is 7 and max length is greater. So we will not execute these two statements. We will go to the next statement. Next iteration of the loop, which will be blooming. So we will see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again it is 8. So is 8 greater than 8? No. So again we won't execute these statements. Okay. But we can always do that. That is, we can always check whether the length is equal, because here we are getting more than one strings which have the length as 8, but it will show only the first occurrence. Okay. So then again go to the next one. This is 7. So again 7 won't be accepted. So we can see that the largest string is magnolia, although blooming is also there. So for that purpose, now if I have to collect all those list elements containing largest items, in that case our program would become a bit complex at this stage. We would see that when we study the chapter list. So right now, let's assume that all the list elements have different length strings, right? So this way we will be able, once there are no more elements in the list, the program would terminate and come to the last statement, which displays the string with the largest length. Let's run the program and let's try to insert strings which are different in size. So the largest string in the list is chrysanthemum with length as 13. So this way we have seen in today's class two programs which are using two different variants of for loop. Now students, you have to look at a particular problem and figure out which for loop would be most suitable for that. Like for range was suitable for the first question, all the series based questions, and where you have to pick out items from a collection or a sequence. In that case, what was most suitable? The for variable for item in collection variant. So you have to judge the question and figure out what construct you will be using. So with this we end today's class.